Well, hello. Lovely day, gorgeous sunny day. And it's also Mental Health Awareness Week, which is interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about that. It's something that I have been around in my life, whether it be sort of immediate family, whether it be extended family, whether it be friends, whether it be myself personally, when I had my first major meltdown back in 2005. So yeah, National Mental Health Awareness Week. So one of the things I think that a lot of people talk about with this is the misunderstanding of it, which is probably an issue for another day. But what I'm going to talk about today is just stress and the fact of how stressed we are now, and how people struggle very they struggle to take control of certain areas, which is never easy, never will be easy for anybody. And it's why it's always important to ask for help, particularly if you're struggling. Which is probably one of the key things, particularly for me, about mental health, is the ability to ask for help. And I've said this before. So anyway, talking about stress, what I want to talk about today is an article I read the other day about a woman who was suffering from anxiety, which in simplistic terms is concern or worry about the future. Okay, so if you wanted to bracket the two, depression and anxiety, depression is usually a feeling of dread, a feeling of regret about the past or things that you can't directly influence, and anxiety is a fear of the future or situations. Okay, really simplistically speaking, so don't shoot me down. But that's basically how you would differentiate the two. So this lady suffers from anxiety, and thank you. And I agree with that comment, Carmel. Thank you. And this lady suffered from anxiety, and what happened was she talked about how she changed diet, how she got more active. And one thing she mentioned, which was really important, was she actually started cooking. Okay, and what the cooking did was it got her using her hands and being creative, and using her hands and being creative, that made her feel less anxious, made her feel less bad, made her feel better about herself. And it's quite a subtle thing. Now, if I look at this in context of just managing sort of low-level stress, and I don't mean sort of if you've got serious mental health concerns that you need to speak to a professional. I'm talking if you're quite a stressed person and every day is a bit of a battle, you're quite stressed. One of the easiest ways to alleviate stress is to learn something. Okay, it's to learn something new and get involved in something above and beyond the mundane tasks that we all have to do on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so this is what this lady did. She started cooking. Okay, so she made one change where she could be creative, she could feel involved in something, and it could give her something to do. And for a lot of people, a big stress alleviator, obviously you're never going to eradicate it completely because it's part of life, is doing something above and beyond yourself, like that, or getting involved in something. Because one of the things that I teach people, because what tends to happen is, let me give you an example. People go for, if they say they want to get fit and lose a bit of weight, they'll come to me and say they want to lose fit and get a bit, lose weight and get fit, right? Fine, yeah, which is great. Problem is, like I've said before, they don't class themselves as important. Okay, so they don't think they deserve the time, they don't think they have the time, they don't think even they're important. Yeah, they think everybody else is important and everything else is important, but not them. So unless they make the time to do it, it's never going to happen, irrespective of how effective the diet or the exercise plan is. So what you see with a lot of people who help to alleviate stress is they do things that make them feel important. Cooking, getting involved in something, being creative, being part of a group, doing something more than just what we need to do on a day-to-day basis, working, family, all the stuff we have to do, yeah? There's often a common myth that we should all be reaching for this exciting, spectacular life. And the truth is, most of us are just trying to do the normal stuff that we all do on a day-to-day basis. But the problem is we get bogged down with nonsense and other people's issues and problems, and a lot of that stuff, aware of the irony, is going on things like social media, because then we get involved in nonsense, yeah, and we get involved in things we shouldn't, rather than actually focusing on ourselves a little bit. Good comment from Carmel there. I took up adult colouring books, and they've done things like that with colouring and stuff with your hands. I've heard they've treated Alzheimer's and dementia with crosswords and Sudoku and things like that, just to get the brain active and focusing on something else rather than the stress of day to day, because people have no release. Okay, so if you've got no release, if you have no release for it, then it's just going to build up. And the best analogy I heard used was it's like holding a beach ball underwater. And you imagine letting a beach ball go when it's underwater. If it comes out, it's going to pop and it's going to cause problems. So that's what stress can do. Now, we all have stresses. April was a particularly, the last 6 weeks actually, I've had loads on, stuff going on left, right and centre with all the stuff that I do. That's put us under a bit of stress. But if you want to get anywhere in life, you can't avoid stress. You can't say, well, I want a stress-free life, because ultimately when you're doing different things, it's going to come with different challenges. Yeah, so you can't ever get rid of it, but you can deal with it better, especially low-level stuff. Like Carmel said, colouring books, cooking, being involved in book clubs, something different that gets you involved in something else outside of your daily life. And I'm not talking about virtual either. I'm not talking about social media. The nonsense on social media, particularly at the moment, because remember, we're a month away from an election here in the UK, in Britain, sorry, and the nonsense that's going on at the moment is frightening, and it can drag you down and drag you into other people's business. Whereas when you come off that and you start doing things like going for a walk, gardening, you can alleviate your stress because you're not constantly switched on. You're switching off a little bit. That's why mindfulness and things like that are important. So with this particular lady who alleviated the stress, yes, she sorted her diet out, but also she started cooking. So it got her involved in something that helped her be creative and give her an outlet for the stress that we all have to face. So these idiots who are saying you can live some serene, peaceful life, nonsense. It's all going to come with challenges. It's all going to come with challenges. And I've seen people like this who've said all that, and then, you know, behind the scenes, it's not always as good as it looks on the surface. So you need an outlet for your stress. You can't avoid it, but you need an outlet for it. And that outlet can be anything from a walk, something creative, something different to what you are. This lady's example was cooking. But the best thing to do, as I always say, is don't suffer in silence. Ask for help. There are people who can help you, whether it be like with what I do with diet and fitness and mindset and habits and the effective stuff that I teach, or whether it will be anything else. There are always people that can help you. Don't suffer in silence. Face your problems. Don't Facebook them. Move away from that, get into the real world and start doing some things to help you be creative and use yourself better and make yourself important, and you'll help alleviate your stress. Have a good day.